right, guys, welcome back for another episode of the Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. Super excited to be back with you guys for episode 16. This episode is titled Back in My Day. Back in my day when I was young, I'm not a kid, right? So we're going to be talking about back in our day. I brought two panelists along with me to discuss some things that went on back in our day. And I'll have our panelists introduce themselves to you guys now. So without further ado, Diane, can you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them just a little bit about. Oh, Diane, I can't hear you. Might be muted.
Diane, we still can't hear you.
Let's see. Okay, in the meantime,
I don't know what happened.
Oh, there you go.
No.
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you? I can't see. Okay, can you see me? Because
Yeah.
I can't see. Okay, I don't have any view of myself, so I don't even know what I'm looking like. I don't know what happened.
You're fine.
Let's see. Can you see me now? Still? I don't know what happened.
Yes.
What happened was I got an incoming
Yes.
call, and it took everything out of, All right.
Okay, so if you want, you can actually leave out, rejoin. I'll have Davon introduce himself in the meantime. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, introduce yourself. Tell the viewers just a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, everybody. So some of you may know, some of you may not know. My name is Devon Hodges. I'm a father of a 4-year-old. I like to say he thinks he's going on 40. And I'm actually one of the co-producers of A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. And I just want to start by saying I'm actually just proud of how fast that everybody's tuning in and how fast the podcast is progressing along. Today's actually our 16th episode. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of the podcast, and I'm ready to go. So if you guys ready, we're gonna have some fun today.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, Diane, you there?
Right. I think I'm back in action here.
There we go. We got you back.
That's what happens when we go live, right? Okay.
So,
I'm
yeah,
sorry about
Diane.
that.
So introduce yourself. Don't worry about it. So introduce yourself for our viewers and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Ian. I was born and raised in the Bronx. I was born back in the days. That's what I'm here to discuss, my back in the days action, and podcast as well. But we'll talk that on a later note, right, Trey? I have a delayed reaction here. I don't know
Definitely.
what's
So
going on.
it's all right. We'll just talk right through it. So Diane does have her own podcast. It's called Heavenly Blue. It's actually on all major podcast platforms. So you can see it on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, or you said Google Chrome, all of those good things. So Heavenly Blue podcast. Make sure you guys check it out. It's great. Lots of great topics. She talks about everything under the sun. So you guys don't want to miss that. So, getting into our topic, right? When we talk about back in our day, right? Everybody has it, right? I don't care if you
Right.
was, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, raised in the 90s, the early 2000s, the 99s or the 2000s, right? Everybody has an era, right? So I want to start off by talking about your era, whatever that may be. Diane, I'll start with you. What do you believe was the
Mhm.
best thing about your era?
Well, the best thing about my era was being a kid. You know, these days kids can't be kids anymore. Back when we were young, we were kids. We were outside playing. We were getting dirty. We were out there in the grass, rolling around, playing basketball, and being outside, being active, and not being behind that television like these young kids are doing today. So we definitely was out there doing our thing, and that's what I enjoyed most about my era as far as being a kid.
Yeah, and you know what though, even now, especially now being a parent, right? That's one of the things I hear from my kids' grandparents is, why you got your kid? My dad calls it the idiot box. Why you got your kid in front of that idiot box and they into that phone and stuff like that? So that's definitely something that we hear
Yeah.
a lot. And I think that my era, we were a part of that transition where people would start, but then you had those, that's when technology was really advancing, and you had those people that really wanted
Right.
to stay in and like really be a
Mhm.
part of that. So I definitely hear you on that. Um, Devon, what about you? Like, what would you say was the best thing about your era?
What I like to say, there's just not one best thing about our era. Hands down, our era was the best. But just a few things that actually stood out to me about our era, like just the face-to-face interactions, the full-on engagements. Like you said, back then we were able to actually go outside and actually play with each other.
Mhm.
Something that Diane said about just being a kid, like I miss the
Mhm.
innocence of being an active kid in our era. Because
Mhm.
now with social media, you can't even kids can't be kids because they have a facade or image to try to look up to or live up to. And then plus we had the golden era of music. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely get into that. So I totally agree. Like like Devon just said, it, our era was so different in the sense of like we got all of the good from the older era, as far as going outside, different games. I don't even know if today's kids, like the young kids, I don't know if they know how to play Skelly. Like when they see a hopscotch board, like I wonder what they think it is. Like I have
Mhm.
yet to see a child, and I could be wrong. I have yet to see a kid who was like under 10 playing hopscotch. That was the thing. Like we knew how to draw it, where to put the numbers and stuff like that. But no much more different with technology. Um, Diane, talking about like things that you guys did like back in the day and going outside and stuff like that. One of the
Right.
things that I realized with the older generation is you guys really have a lot of knowledge. So for you, what would you say are some of the that you learned growing up in your era?
Growing up was definitely education. Education was something because we lived in an era where there wasn't really money, like money wasn't really a big thing like it is today. But we knew that in order to get what we wanted, we needed an education. Also, say no to drugs. Drugs was a big thing back in the days also. We knew to well, most of us knew to stay away from drugs and to teach our kids, and also to break the cycles. There's always cycles that have to be broken. We have to be better at everything that our parents, like I expect my kids to be better than me, just like I was better than my parents. So it's you have to break that cycle. You have to move upward and not be on that steady line, because that's the only way you can get better at things in life.
Definitely. And
Agreed,
that
agreed.
need and that want to be better, right? That's something I think all of us as parents that we want to teach our kids or make sure that our kids get is that want
Right.
to be better. And I think that sometimes with this generation it as much because they're kind of got complacency. But I can definitely say a lot of people that I know that are older than me, they have a different type of work ethic. Like it's just something different. Like,
Right.
and it's hard
Yeah.
to explain. And I think it's really one of those things that was like really prominent in your era and all of the
Right.
eras before me, really. Um,
Right.
Devon, what about you? Like, what are some of the life lessons that you would say that you learned growing up in the era that we grew up?
Oh man, it was quite a few. I take it back to like the different quotes that we learned in terminology that our parents and grandparents used. You know, when they say a hard a hard head makes a soft ass. I mean, it's literally
Yeah,
true. We had to literally be there to actually like see people go through these things. I feel like now technology is so advanced because you could hear something on the internet and just believe it. You get what I'm saying? And just also like the terminology of the art of having to be there to believe it. It just holds a
yeah,
different weight in today's climate. Back in the days, you literally had to be there, whether you were coming from the supermarket and you actually seen the car crash into the phone booth. Now we got social media, so as soon as you pull up your phone, trending topics, you just see stuff. Back then, you had to
Right.
literally be there to actually believe it.
Right. To
And
see it.
we also just learned lessons of just respecting our elders. That was really, really big. So the key to life was respecting your elders, and that's how you was gonna stay alive.
Yeah.
Because the same way they brought you in, they'll take you out.
That's right.
right, right.
Yes, indeed.
I
Absolutely.
remember that. My mom,
Mm-hmm.
that was her favorite line. Like I brought you in this world, I take you out. That was number one. Um, and
Yeah,
number two for my mom was this. She was real big on this. Like, oh, you think you're gonna come out here and embarrass me? Like, I ain't gonna
Yeah.
be out here in the street, in this store, in
yeah,
this
another thing
supermarket,
coming.
embarrassed. Jesus, my mom did not
Uh-huh.
play that. All right. So now let's shift the climate. This is where the debate is gonna come in, right? What was the best song out at the time era?
Me?
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, Diane. What was the best song out?
Oh, well, listen. You can't get what you have now without the 70s. It is what it is. It wasn't one particular song, it was all the songs. It just wasn't just one song we rocked to. We rocked to everything that was playing on that radio. And we had different transitions in the 70s, from the late 60s into the 70s. We went from, blues to disco to rap. So we had little taste of a little bit of every 70s, and it was fantastic. So I can't just name one song because back then all the artists were great and they can sing.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
between
yeah.
Stevie
So like the
Wonder
top
and the
three.
Temptations. The top three for me back then would have been Marvin Gaye, it would have been Teddy Pendergrass, and Earth, Wind, and Fire. But I like
Mm,
Shaka. I mean, it was so many. It was so many that we
hey, I
drove to.
feel I think
Yeah.
I'm with you on this. There's no good music. A lot of it from my era was samples from old music, and I really didn't know
Absolutely.
that until I got a little bit more educated in music, and I was like, wait, this is a song
Mm-hmm.
from the '70s, from the '60s. Like this is
Yep.
crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely with
To
you
this
on that
day.
one. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. To this day, like that's so true, so relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
what about you, Devon? What was now that I think we agreed that we probably can't narrow it down to one song, but like,
right. Come
what's
on,
your
that's like the
top
hardest
three?
question ever. Oh man, it's hard
So
to
what's
even
your
say a
top
top
three?
three. Come on, like I stated before, our era was the golden era of music. And like you guys said, thank God to the 60s and 70s because in our era we were sampling a lot of it. It was giving a lot of soul and rhythm to us. You get what I'm saying? But top three, I could say maybe like top 3 artists in that time frame, but songs, no way. I can't choose one. I would go with the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh man, there's so many. I'll give a soulful singer. We could do come on. We could do Mary J. Blige. The
Yeah.
list goes on. It
Okay.
really goes on. Like you
Yeah.
felt good every
There's a
time you
lot.
heard these songs. Like you felt good. It gave you a feeling and an experience every time you heard these songs. So thank God again to the 60s and 70s because I'm pretty sure that's where they got their inspiration from. So
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
definitely. Definitely. I always play
I'm telling
trivia
you,
with myself and figure out what old song they sampled off of.
right, absolutely.
yeah. At this point, I think that's where I'm at with it. Like if I hear a song and it sounds a little too soulful, I might
Mhm.
need to check the facts and see if it's something
Yep.
like that.
Where
Um,
Mhm.
you get
Yep.
that
so
from?
it's funny though because for me, I think about like even though I was a lot of times when people are born in a particular decade, they like to claim the decade. But it was hard to say that I was like really. I'm literally a '90s baby, but I probably like when I think about it, I didn't really grow up in the '90s. I was 10 when the '90s ended, so like I think the early 2000s was like really where I started to grow and learn things and stuff like that. But I did listen to a lot of music in the '90s because parents always had the radio on. Mary J.
Mhm.
Blige was really big. I'm
Mhm.
always going to be a big Mary fan. And then you had people like 112, like just
Yeah.
groups. I think that's one of the things that we don't have now are R&B
No.
groups. Like that's just it's
No.
just kind of not it's not in anymore. I think. And what I really also like, I want to mention about music in the early 2000s, we had, I think we were like the last era to have boy bands, so to say, right? Like we had people like B2K and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I know there's a lot of people that's waiting on that Millennium Tour or whatever to drop again. So we had things like B2K and there was a group called B5. They were sampling a lot of old
Yeah.
music. Day 26.
Mhm.
Now we don't have any groups anymore where we can hear those type of melodies. And then even the R&B singers today, they don't really sing about love like they used to. Like they just singing about the stuff
Getting
that
Yeah.
lit.
rappers rap about.
Yeah.
So it's just really the content of music has really changed. Um, I know Diane, you kind of when you were talking about some of the people used to do in the day. But what are some of the things like that kids used to do, while being outside, while playing? Like what was a normal day for a kid in your day?
Oh, between double dutch, between playing cards, spades, spit, we used to sit down and braid. That's how long learned how to cornrow hair and braid hair. We sat and for hours here. We played stickball. I mean, that's something that is gone. Stickball was a major thing. So our parents, we used to take turns going upstairs and unscrewing the mop off of the stick so we can use the stick as the bat to play the stick ball. So our
Wow.
parents used to be um, too through with us. They used to hide the mop after a while, but that was that was the fun thing about it. As long as we didn't break the stick, we were all right. But we
Right.
played hopscotch. We played so many scalzies. People don't even. I teach kids know, and I teach my grandkids. They know what hopscotch and other little games to play, but it's not like that. No one really picks up. But we played from the time we wake up, 9 o'clock, to the time that sun goes down, and we was out there doing our thing all day, every day,
Yeah.
especially in the summertime. It was
I'm
and the biggest thing in the summertime was the fire hydrant. I don't know if y'all guys did it in the 90s, but
Yeah.
we used to be hours on the street trying to get that can lit off and then go and shoot the pump. Oh my gosh, that was just some fun times.
I'm telling you, Diane, y'all back in the day, y'all was very innovative. Like you guys didn't need
Yeah.
any help. If
No.
you didn't have a bat, if somebody didn't have, y'all figured it out. Like I'm still stuck on the all
We
right,
sure
I
did.
like you go upstairs and go get your mother mop, right? You go screw it off real. All right, now you go and screw it off, right? Like I could just imagine what that looked like, right? Like my version of that is like, all right,
Yeah.
you ask your mom if I could stay over. And if I ask, she's gonna say no, right? Like so we did little stuff like that, but you know, to have to be that innovative to have fun, you know, with your friends, like that's just like super, super dope, right? To be able to hear that, you know, we didn't have fun necessarily in the sense of you know, people just having bats or balls. We figured it out. Like we made fun. Like so I think that was just super dope. What about you, Devon? Like what was some of the things that you can remember that kids did in our era?
First, shout out to the pioneers because we see that the same traditions that Diane was speaking about carried actually over to us. Like we played skelly, we played dodgeball and kickball, we played volleyball, baseball. We did all those things as well. Hopscotch, we did those things as well. So shout out to them for even passing down those
I don't know.
traditions to
I'm
us.
here.
I mean, I feel like, but we were just a little more just ahead of the time. We had tag, freeze tag, red light, green light, set, go.
Yeah.
Manhunt. And you know, once we got a certain age, we got a little frisky. So we just went out there and
Right.
tried to just be a little more innovative and just keep it going. We
Mm-hmm.
played what? As soon as you get over on your grandparents' block, till like them street lights come on, and you'll go out there and you'll play, you'll have fun.
Right, right. Street once those street lights come on, you got a problem. That was our like we didn't have an alarm set on our phone. My mom told me
That's
when it
right.
was time to come in, like once them lights, that's it. It's a wrap. Like that
That's
was our
right.
alarm clock, that
That's
was our
right.
everything. And then the house waiting. Like so you ain't in front of if you ain't there when it's time, then we got a problem. Like and then I
See that
like
hand
here
on the hip?
like hand on the hip like Ken Ken Love said in our comments, he said stickball. What else you guys have? He said stickball carrier on the concrete. No, that was it right there. Y'all had hoop ball, buck. I never heard of buck before.
Oh yeah, the stoop ball. Uh-huh. Dodgeball.
Like y'all was making up games once upon a time. That's where it was at. Like you and you know what's so crazy? When you mentioned spit, I thought we originated spit. I didn't know that y'all knew how to play. Like I didn't know that was an old game. Like I thought that was something that we made up. So you learn something new every day.
You
I
mean the
tell you,
card
like
game spit? Oh.
yeah, I thought that was originated when I was in middle.
Right.
I really thought we made that up. Like that.
We
That is
play that in the
interesting.
street.
Oh, that's something. That is something. Um, and and like now one of the biggest debates I see in the older generation and the newer generation is spades. I don't want nobody's black card to be in
Mm-hmm.
question, right? But I know that there's some people that don't know how to play spades. I don't understand how this is happening, right? Like we're
Oh
not
man.
passing things down to the generation. But I personally think my generation is the best at spades. Like I think we just took the game and evolved it. Like so I think I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think we the best. You know, I think we the best at spades. Gail in our comments said that her friend, she said my friend next door tin cans together connected to a long string of yarn and we would communicate by talking into the tin can. It was our cell phones. We were creative. And That's so because I have never, ever, ever actually seen that before. I've seen it in movies, but I've never actually like seen someone do that and it actually work. So that is so crazy to me. And I see some comments about that spades comment.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what y'all think. Who was the best generation of
Right.
spades players? Let me know what y'all think. So
It sounds like a wager maybe going on.
right.
You said who was the best generation?
So
You know,
so now
come on, stop playing.
you think y'all got it, Diane? I don't know.
What?
We gonna
You
we gonna
can't.
have
Yeah,
to see.
listen.
We gonna have to look. We're
Listen,
gonna
we proved it. No, we proved it. We proved it last summer when we went to a barbecue and all the young kids thought that they can beat us old spade. We off the table. One
have
by
to see one
one.
one. So what we're gonna do now is right. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna set up a live podcast spades game. Somehow, somewhere, we're gonna figure this out, right? Because with technology, I'm pretty sure it's a way to
That's
do it.
right.
So we're gonna figure this out.
That's right.
We're gonna get a spades tournament live on the podcast about this spades life, right? Um, so now switching it just a little bit, right? Because not only was our generation and your generation, like we were more active and outside and doing stuff, right? Now outside you encounter a lot of different things like food, right? What was one of the best places in your time, Diane?
Okay, so unfortunately for us, we were born back in the 60s and 70s, so we didn't have too much of a choice. So our biggest place to eat, believe it, White Castle, OMG. That was our hangout, that was our eating spot. That's what we ate. White Castles. We didn't have a
That is
McDonald's
White
yet.
Castle. No, that is so dope.
White
Like, and then
Castles.
now you can barely
Everybody.
find a White Castle.
Huh? No, all the White Castles are still in the Bronx.
Oh, that's because you uptown. I only know of one White Castle in Brooklyn, just one. I can't find any White Castle.
Right.
So that, and you know
That's
what
because
I like, what I
that's
really like.
Brooklyn. I'm sorry. I
Here
had
we
to throw that. I had to throw that one in there.
here we go with the Brooklyn joke. Right. So, but what I really like about what you said about White Castle, right, is that sometimes that place where you met up and hung out at and stuff like that, it was the hangout spot. Like we went here, we ate, we chilled
Yeah.
out for a while. It could have
Yeah.
been on the way to school or on the way to somebody's house, and we
Mhm.
just all knew it was like an unwritten rule. Like we just gonna stop here and get some White Castle. Well, how about you,
Mhm.
Devon? Like what was that place for you, like growing up?
Man, that place was my grandmother's house, to be honest. Yeah, the food
Hey.
was slamming there. That's where you get the best soul food
Yeah,
that I ever tasted at my
definitely.
grandmother's house. I mean, we had these fast food restaurants. They was accessible, but you ask, "Hey, Ma, can I go to McDonald's? Do you got McDonald's money?" So it's like we got food in the kitchen. You go to your grandmother's house and you eat. So that's where it was at for me.
I'm telling you, that was the line McDonald's money, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm telling
Right.
yeah.
you, you got McDonald's money. Look, Ken Love, he got all the insight. Ken Love said in the comments they had the 20-cent sliders. They had the 20-cent sliders. Man, if White Castle had 20-cent sliders today, I think I'll still be eating White Castle, I tell you. Um, but for me, I remember like going to high school, there was like a Wendy's right across the street, and all of my friends
Oh.
like all of us didn't have the money for fast food, right? I have a friend whose parent always gave him a certain amount of money, and then we just hang out. You eat a little bit of his fries, or maybe he got a little extra to give, and we all just hang out at Wendy's and just talk after school or on the way to school. And then I think for me, we had a lot of pizza places where I lived at. So I
Mm.
think some of the better I had. My dad would
Mhm.
probably disagree
Mhm.
with me. he think Sufton Boulevard got the best pizza in Queens. So I don't know, but I know we had a lot of good ones. We had a lot of good ones in Brooklyn. But to be honest with you, like
I
Devon
think
said,
was the
oh, go ahead.
best. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, I'm
I
saying
agree.
the
Like
pizza
that's
in New
one
York
thing that I've
itself is good.
realized. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that one of the things I think that when we were a little bit older, we really weren't on fast food as much. Like we were really into home cooked meals, but for a lot of different reasons, right? And one of those reasons was we got food in the house. One,
Right.
two, do you got McDonald's money? Like, so for a lot of different reasons, like we were really on, we were really on home cooked meals and stuff like that. So now, what are some things, right? Now that we talked about like all of the good and all of the fun, like what are some of the things, Devon, that you feel like you think could have been changed, like about your era?
You asking me, right?
Yeah.
Um, Listen, I just knew I was coming here today to say nothing. I actually enjoyed my era, man. That's where my childhood was. That's where I learned a lot of, like hard lessons and stuff. I think that's something that like really bothered me as a kid. Just was like the stop and frisking with police officers and like the police brutality and the police harassment. Me being in my early teens, I felt like it was really hard in the neighborhood that I actually lived in. So I wish that kind of changed. But as far as the music, the food, the real friendships and the active engagements, I love that part. But just about the whole police thing. But that's another story for another topic and another story.
Nah, definitely. And I'm with you on that. I can remember being in my early teenage years, 13, 14, through a lot of my teenage years. And that's when that whole stop and frisk thing really like became a thing. And now you're being pushed
Mm.
up against a car because you fit the description. And so,
Right.
us growing up in the same era, that's definitely something that I would say that I didn't particularly care about, growing up. And I feel like needed to be changed. I know that they actually are not supposed to be doing the stop and frisk thing anymore. So I'm happy that they kind of took that away. Because it was definitely something that scars you, right? Like if you're somebody that's not in a criminal lifestyle, you're not into things like that, and to be treated as a criminal or treated as such without a lot of probable cause is definitely something that can scar you growing up. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, bro. Diane, how about you? What are some things that you feel like needed to be changed about your era?
Well, definitely, we had the same thing growing up. We had cops profiling us. It was, I think it was bad. Um, Me personally, a couple of my friends and I, we were in Brooklyn and we got racially profiled, and the cops came and took us away, you know, and we spent the night in the precinct. So that was definitely not a happy day for us, a night for us. And the guy who had us arrested changed the story, and we ended up leaving like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we definitely had it hard back in the when it came to racially profiling, and it was everywhere. Certain places you couldn't go, we couldn't go. Um,
Yeah,
that was just one thing I would change is the fact that we just had to stay in certain places and beware of those places that we go.
yeah, yeah, and that's rough. Like that's a rough situation. Like you said, being in those situations where you kind of gotta stay away from here. Don't go
Mm-hmm.
too far left. Don't go too far right. And just kind of stay right in the middle. And then as a parent, that's something that can be really scary because, as you're bringing your kids up, you already know where to navigate, where to go, where not to go. But now you got to make sure that your kids know how to walk that fine line. So really, relate.
Right.
or empathize when it. Mark said in our comments, 50 Cent Heroes. I have never in my life bought a any kind for 50 cents. Like, so that's crazy to me. Like, to hear that there was a sandwich at one point for 50 cents. You could barely get a bag of chips for 50 cents. So that's crazy to me.
Right. The
Like, you
bread
could
is not
barely.
even
Oh,
50 cents to this day.
I'm telling you, like, I'm telling you. So now we look at all of the great things about our eras, all of the fun things from the
mhm.
clothing, right? Like how that changes. And I really love the fact that, Diane, a lot of information that she's given us is from the 70s, right? So she's seen a lot of different eras, seen how things have progressed, from people wearing, maybe one style of clothing in different colors. And I know in my
Mhm.
we were wearing, I was really a small, but I was wearing a 3XT. I probably was a 28 in jeans wearing a 37, right? Like that was the thing back then. The big tees, the big pants, the baggy clothes. Like we was like super baggy. And then they was like real big on. I know the music got a little tough. They had like the gangster rap, and stuff like that. So it was like real. I love my era. Like for me, one of the things I like most, and I want to talk to you about, Devon, is, do you remember once upon a time when the internet first came out and you wanted to talk to your friends on Instant or on AIM, right? You had to tie up that phone line, use that dial up, and then your mother come home and you pick up that phone and she pick up that phone to make a phone call, but it's like ringing
Yeah,
that and
right.
cursing
It's
out, but tying up the phone. Like that was the thing back
right,
then. Like we was tying up phone lines just to instant message people. Like that's
right.
hilarious.
The
Like
risk
then
that
we
we
had,
took.
right, the risk that we took, right? Then we had the flip phones, and that then later we had like the sidekicks. Nikki said in our
Right, right,
comments, AIM, um, right? I know y'all remember Skolnick, the MySpace.
right.
We had the
So
MySpace.
we
Remember the
were
top five?
right with your top five friends. We was actually our era was actually at that peak of when these social media interfaces were actually being presented to us. So we got to see of the era of not having it and actually going into it in the first stages of it. You know how like when they first release a new phone, that phone has bugs and they tweak it up and then they
Yeah,
re-release it. So we were
right.
actually good enough to be, right there when that actually happened.
Right. We were the guinea pigs for social media. Like if you really think about it, we were the guinea pigs. So they knew what we liked, what we didn't like. I was just telling Devon, like we had like the top five, your top five friends on MySpace, so you knew how close you and your friends was. If you was in the top
Mhm.
five. And some people even got to the point where they was like, well, if I'm not the number one, if I'm five out of the whole, like, and I'm not the number one, then we got an issue. Like so, and we was
That
able
was
to put
bad.
back on our pages and stuff like that. So that was just real fun, real funny, real fun time. And then nowadays, like we're now going into what seems like a new era that's new to all of us, right? Regardless of
Right.
what area you're from. And
Mhm.
times are really changing. Like there are
Yeah.
things that are happening in this era that we really haven't seen. Like where we have like the transgender movement, the
Right.
LGBT. I'm sorry, I don't know all the letters. So please, nobody get
I
offended.
know. I
Um,
know. It's
I'm trying to
it's
make sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but that community, we and these are things that we haven't seen before because it was never
Right.
available for someone to say, I don't want to be, this anymore. I feel like this. I'm gonna,
Right. Right.
go in. Um, and so now to have that, it's just different, right? Where it's just really different. Oh, we have a guest. So real quick before we go into our next topic, I want to bring in our guest caller. Crystal, how are you today? Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
here, Crystal.
I'm so sorry that.
All right, we'll try Crystal and
No.
try back in a second. But so,
Okay.
now with this new era, we're seeing things that we haven't been seeing, right? What are some things, right, on a positive note though? What are some things that you would say that you like about this era, Diane?
What I like about this era, hands up, is the technology. I mean, back in the 70s, we had a phone that had a cord to it, so we couldn't go too far.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then the cordless phones came out. But technology, the way we talk to one another, how we speak into each other now is a beautiful thing. It amazed me that we can communicate the way we and be able to understand one another
right.
in this world today. So technology, definitely, hands down, cell phones, laptops, iPads, smartphones, smart TV, all that good stuff. I give it definitely a thumbs up.
Right, I hear that, and I love it too as well. That technology is it's amazing. I love technology. I love the things that we can do with it, especially with COVID and everything that's happened. We've been really, literally able to
Mm-hmm.
stay connected because of tech. So I love that idea, and I love that about this particular era. So we're gonna try our caller
Mm-hmm.
again, Crystal. I just saw her a second ago. Crystal, are you there? Working for her. All right, let me see if she's muted. Um, got got you. So, Devon, for you, what would you say is something that you like about this era?
Well, first, I'd like to say there's a lot of things I don't like, but more importantly, I'm up there with you guys. Yeah, just the advancement of technology. I think that's the thing that I actually like about it. I feel like our kids are learning at a faster pace, which is a plus for us. And just the way that the accessibility for us to communicate in the different ways that we can communicate now because of technology. I think that that's great. So the advancement of technology, even when it comes to like the school system, education systems, and like hospitals and stuff, we are like quickly evolving because of the use of technology when it comes to helping others. So it boils down just to the advancement of technology.
No, seriously, like, and people saw that even in things like church, still being able to attend church and do that virtually, still being able to go to school and do that
Mm-hmm.
virtually. Now there are times,
Mm-hmm.
although it's different, where you can't see your loved ones physically, but now you have the ability to still be able to see people, and you don't miss too much, and have access to information. One of the things that I love about this era is info so available. Before, a lot of the things was like that game telephone that we used to play back in the day, where this person says it, and then this person says it, and then this person says it, and then
Mm-hmm.
by the time it gets to you, it might not be the same as when it was first said. Now we have access to information at the finger at our fingertips. The only thing is so much information out there. You got to make sure that you fact check. Like, you got to make sure that your source is credible, because you could be on the worst site that you can possibly get information from. Also, one of the things that Nikki said in our comments is that everybody has a platform. So I remember before, like we would do stuff and people would be like, "Oh, you need your own TV show. Like you are hilarious. So this is so fun. You need your own TV show." Now with social media, everybody literally has their own TV show.
That's right.
And you can look at what podcasts, right? You would have to be picked up by like a major network to have a platform to speak and talk about different and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's at
Mhm.
at everybody's fingertips, right? Like to have your
Yeah.
own show. So technology is really, really like really advancing. And Ken
Yes.
said in our comments, he said he was replying to Nikki when she said everybody has their own platform. He said some folks don't need their own platform, and that's another thing that we seeing now is that everybody don't need a platform, but we all got it, right? Right? That's the that we
Yeah.
all have access.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so one of the things that like my dad, he's from an older generation, of course, and one of the things he complains about a lot is music. So what are your thoughts on today's music?
Well, today's music, it's some of the music I don't understand. Some of the music is good. Like Bruno Mars is trying to bring it back. He's trying to bring it back. I'm proud of him, and I think it's Pac.
Mhm.
I think they have a good thing going. I can dig some of the rap. Some of the rap is just some of that rap is just so heavy and hard. I just don't. I don't know the lyrics to it. My grandkids correct me because I'm thinking it's one thing and they telling me no. But some of the music is still, we still got the Mary J. Bliges out there, and we still got the um, you know, Jaheim is trying to make a comeback. We still, but the music is still okay. It's not as good as back in the
Yeah,
days, but it's okay.
right, definitely, and I like the fact that you pointed out people like Bruno Mars, Jaheim trying to make the comeback and things like that. Because for the people that like older music or maybe just a different sound, there are still people out here that make music like that. You just kind of got to know, where to look, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like
Yeah.
if you're a person that likes a certain genre, like you just got to know where to look, right? If this is
Right.
not your cup of tea, you got to find the tea bags that you like. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Devon, how about you? Like, what are your thoughts on today's music?
Man, I could go on and on about that. Because I come from an era where I feel like music was so vulnerable and just like great. Um, Today's music, it really just doesn't do it for me. There's a couple of artists that I actually do enjoy, and I actually do like because they do have that R&B sound, just a little maybe a more up tempo beat. But I'm very blessed to know that music is forever evolving. So I do understand where today's music is. Do I like all of it? I don't. I think a lot of it sounds the same. But I'm also
Mm-hmm.
blessed to know that history always repeat itself. So I'm just waiting for music to just transition again and more R&B could just be put into the forefront.
Yeah, yeah. I used to always tell people when I was younger, and people used to ask me what kind of music that I listen to, but I think a lot of people thought that I rap. I guess I fit the description of somebody that like rap music. Uh, and when they hear the stuff that I'm listening to, and they be like, "Bro, like, why are you listening to that?" I'm like, "Listen, man, I'm moved in the R&B mood." Like that was my saying for everybody. Like I really love R&B music because it was saying you can feel it. There was a lot of feeling behind it. So what are some things that Diane that you try to implement from your era into this era?
Okay, the couple of things that, well, I try to teach my kids right from wrong. Um One thing, and it's whether it's my kids, my grandkids, my nieces and my nephews, whomever I am around, manners, respect your elders, respect, respect, respect. It just hurts me to my heart how some of these kids are out here robbing these elderlies, and they pretend like they didn't have mothers and fathers. Give your seat, give your seat up. If you know you're on the train, you see a woman, a pregnant woman standing, give up your seat, guys. Hold doors, hard doors, hold regular. I mean, just make sure that teach my kids to be respectful so that people can say, wow, you were brought up well. You holding doors for women, you're holding chairs, you're being respectful. And that's what we've lost. Besides, God in our heart. Kids don't fear God anymore. And I make sure that my kids and anybody around me fears God, because once we lose that, it's a done deal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I really love the respect aspect that you talked about. My dad about this a lot. And he always says, like, nowadays it's like the Wild Wild West. Like, everybody got a gun. These kids
Yeah.
is just acting really crazy. The respect really not there, and not definitely not where it should be. So and that's one of the things that I would say that the older generations were really big on, as far as like respecting your elders. Nowadays it's like, I'm not respecting nobody if they don't respect me. Like, it's not to say that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do anything for that person. Nobody telling you to kiss their behind or nothing like that. But there's still a certain level of respect that I believe that the older generation should always get, because they paved
Mm-hmm.
the way. So, Devon, what about you? What are some things that you try to implement from your era into this era?
So I just heard you guys constantly say the word respect, respect. And I'm just gonna piggyback off that. I'm gonna say I just want to like just reinforce the like morals and respect. And the reason I say that again is because we gotta stress this enough. Like respect, respect, respect. Respect is really, really key. Um, it respect goes a long way, and when they say respect goes a long way, that's actually really, really true. For her to be in a different era than us, and she's really big on respect, and us coming like an era or maybe era or two after her, and we still know the value of respect and what our elders had. So I just feel like respect, we just got to reinforce the knowledge of respect, and just teach our youth that respect really does go a long way. So again, respect, 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 respect.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Definitely, definitely. Um, how with things constantly changing, right? From technology to the corner store that you grew up with not being there anymore. It's a hair salon. Like, things are constantly changing, evolving. Cars, just a lot of different things, right? How important is it that you learn to adapt to change throughout the years, Diane?
Well, it depends on the age. Like, older people tend to adapt slower, of course. But it's 100% guaranteed that you have to adapt. We went from people, us baby boomers have seen the transition of so many things, and we actually adapted to a lot of what was going on. We went from, like I said, phones with cords to it, to cell phones that are smarter than us, right? But you have to go along with the program, otherwise you're going to get stuck in the times. And I do have friends that are stuck in the times, and they just need to come up, up this way. You don't have to come up 100% to meet us halfway, because others are going to get left behind. It's evolving too
Definitely,
fast.
definitely. And that's one of the biggest things that I try to tell people when we talk about change, right? It's something that has to happen. Does it mean that you have to everything about yourself? No. Does it mean that you have to everything that's going on in that culture? No. But it probably would be nice if you knew a cell phone, right? It probably would be nice if you
Right.
knew how to download the app, right? Instant messenger, like things of that sort. Like there are just ways that the world is moving, especially now where I think a lot of people kind of got full technology, right? I know for
Mhm.
me, there are a lot of jobs that I work for where I had to use like Microsoft Teams to now do meetings and do
Mhm.
work of that sort. Or even people that were
Mhm.
going to church, right? They doing it on Zoom. So now, if you just decide to reject it because you're at a point where you don't want to, I don't want to change. There's so much life that you'll miss out on. So I definitely agree in the sense that that I think that it's important, right? How about you, Devon? How important is it that you think that people learn to adapt to years?
I think it's very imperative that we all adapt to change, because you can't stay ahead of the time if you're not open-minded or willing to actually put the work in to adapt or learn new information. I think it's more so in a sense of technology. I feel like a lot of people are not computer literate, and most of the things are done within the world of technology. So, for example, if we go back to like job applications, before you could walk into a store, ask the manager you hiring, he'll have you fill out a piece of paper, you bring him back the piece of paper. In today's time, it's totally different. Everything is online. And a lot of people are not computer literate, so they don't know how to access this information. But they just got to take the time to actually get with the change. But it's really,
Right,
really imperative that we do, because this is the future.
right, definitely. Like at this point, like you can't, like you said, you can't go into an establishment and say, "Hey, I came to fill out for." Oh well, you got to go on our website, and you yell at them like, "What you mean? I got to go on a website? I'm here right now. I got all my information," and that is just not the way that things work, right? Like like you can't, like there's certain things that you have to adapt to, right? And those things, and not everything, right? But just certain instances you have to adapt to. And I think that is good just to be literate in certain things, right? Just to know how to do certain stuff. You don't have to know how to do
Mhm.
everything, but just little things. From that whenever something new happens, I will want to know about it. Like that's just how I feel. So I think that we talked about a lot. I had a great time just talking about the eras, comparing the eras. Um, White Castle, he said Heroes. We had
Yeah.
Quarter Chips, talk about
Yeah.
A's, baggy jeans. So I had a great time, talking about this. And, Diane, I'll start with you. Do you have anything, viewers, before we get out of here? All right. So, Vaughn, I'll start with you. Do you have anything for our viewers before we get out of here?
Mainly, I learned that 90s babies and early 2000 babies, we weren't that much trendsetters, because clearly a lot of this stuff came from the generation before us. But it's all
Right.
love. I appreciate the knowledge that was learned today. Want to thank everybody for who tuned in and commented, liked, and shared. Great.
All right. So, Diane, how about you? Do you have anything for our viewers before we get out of here?
Um, Thank you for inviting me. I had a blast. I mean, it was fantastic. Thank y'all guys. It was a good experience. I mean, a little technical difficulties, but it was good. Thank you. Thank you.
I actually was an amazing experience. I had so much fun guys about this again. And Devon, I really agree with you. Like I learned so much on that. Like I told you guys, I thought spit originated when I was in middle school, right? So I learned, from talking to you guys, learning that things really don't always have to change, but then there's a part that does have to change, just so you can be in touch with the times, and just be able to function in the world that we live in today. So, with that being said, I just want to, thank my two panelists. Thank you guys for taking the time out to be a part of the podcast today. It's greatly appreciated. To all of the viewers, to anybody that just popped in to view, if you watched the entire episode, or anybody that's going to watch in the future, anything else, but you chose to be a part of this conversation, it's greatly appreciated. Make sure that you like the Facebook page, subscribe on YouTube for more content. Next week's episode, right? Next week's episode is going to be a great topic. I think that a lot of want to hear this. I hear a lot of people talk about this week's topic. Episode 17 is going to be blended families, right? So that's going to be a great one. I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. If you got a child and you with another guy and y'all blending that family, or you're a man and you have a child and y'all putting those families together, I want to hear about your experiences, right? Let's talk about that. That's something that we really don't talk about until we're actually in it, right? So I'm a conversation for somebody dive into that, right? I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Before we head out, I just want to say, make sure that I tell you guys, like always, just remember that a better me equals a better we. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, next week at 8 p.m.